Alright, here we go. So I want to start this video off by saying if you're mad that I'm playing tier limits, I do not give a fuck, bro. Do not give a fuck whatsoever. But this video is a very funny video. So yes, I am playing the Shizu tier limits. If you're mad, you can go fuck yourself because Konami put this shit in the game. Don't get mad at me because I'm playing this shit. Get mad at Konami. I'm not about to take fucking a million L's to play some trash ass deck, bro, and get my shit pushed all the way through because you think I shouldn't play Shizu tier limits. No, fuck that. I'm going to play the busted shit that Konami put in the game so I can enjoy this game and not be sitting here being fucking pissed off all day because I'm constantly getting my shit pushed in by this broken ass deck. Now that I got that out the way, let's get into the match. So I go ahead and start off with Rhino Heart. I send Sheeran. Of course, yes, I do have Sheeran in my hand. And I go into Kid Kalos. Now, Kid Kalos is going to grab Scream, and I am grabbing Scream because I'm going to make a bunch more plays. So I go ahead and send the Kelbeck, and I end up hitting a Guido as well. So I send to Mill, so that's a Mill from Scream, Mill from Megiddo, and a Mill from Kelbeck. Now, mill a bunch of cards right here, but I didn't really hit anything too crazy in my graveyard because I didn't get any effects to actually do anything. So I hit my Gravekeeper's Trap, hit my Impermanent. I did hit a Shuffler, did hit my Sulliek, but not much that I can actually like get any effects from. I hit Maxi, Tactics, Talent. Didn't really hit anything that I can get any effects. Hit both of my Kelbecks, so didn't really get much value out of that milling right there. So I know that if I do more milling, that basically I'll get a lot of effects out of it. So what I do is I shuffle back the map out of my graveyard, so then that way I can draw the map plus the tortoise. So that's what I do using the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. And then I'm going to activate Kid Kalos, pitching Kid Kalos to summon Merly. That'll give me another 8 mills. So I've milled a lot of cards out of my deck so far. So now I only got 12 cards left in my graveyard, and then I end up hitting 2 of my tier limits. So you can deep mill, and I think this is one of the best like showcases of milling that you can do in this deck because not a lot of people showcase how you can deep mill through the deck. So a lot of the times people just kind of use Kelbeck, Agido, Kid Kalos, and Merly, and then that's the only milling they really do. They don't search Scream and then just kind of mill continuously deep mill into the deck. This is just showing how far into the deck you can mill. So go into Baron the Floor right here. And here's the funny thing. So I go into the end phase right here, right? Let's look at the board that I have. Let's start off with the graveyard so y'all can see what all I have in the graveyard. I got Keldo in, so then that way I can use that as a shuffler. I also have Medora in my graveyard, so I can use that as a shuffler as well on my opponent's turn. So I got 2 shufflers in the graveyard. I have Baron de Flor, which can negate, and on my turn I can pop something on their side of the field, and then I can basically swap this card out for something level 9 or lower in my graveyard to send this back into the extra deck. When a monster is summoned onto the field, basically it'll start milling as long as I have a tier limits monster. Also, I got Rukalos. Rukalos is a special summon negate, and then Sprite Elf, which can revive something, and then of course Perloreno. So I can actually trigger Perloreno at any time with Kelbeck or it's not Kelbeck, Keldo or Medora. Right. Then I also have Haviness in my hand, so if my opponent activates an effect, of course I can activate Haviness to special summon this card and then mill 3 cards from my deck. And then when this card is sent to the graveyard, of course you can fusion summon. So I got 11 cards here, which means this will give me 3 mills, this will give me 3 mills, and more than likely I'll be hitting tier limits because I've milled mostly everything out of my deck. And then I've shuffled back quite a few of my tier limits. So With that being said, let's see. I got one Merly, one Sheeran in my deck, so that's two. And then I have two Rhino Hearts in my deck, and then one Havness in my deck, and then plus whatever else that I have in my deck as well. Yeah, so basically, also I have, let's see, looks like I have, yeah, I have a Kelbeck and an Agito in my deck as well. So all of those cards are in my deck. So if I really wanted to, I could Sprite Elf, revive Diviner, and then start milling more. Or I could just revive Merly, mill three with this one, and then mill three with this one, which will go 9 cards deep into my deck. Basically, I can mill 9 cards. Pretty much on my opponent's turn, which will give me 3 fusion summons. Pretty much, I mean, 9 cards will pretty much hit all the fusion monsters in my graveyard. So, yeah. So, let's go ahead and pass turn and see what happens. So, my opponent activates infinite impermanence. Now, I guarantee you this is not what he meant to do because, of course, in this replay, it shows that instantly he went straight for Sprite Elf. But if I could show y'all how long it took for him to actually select this card, I guarantee you his target was Baron de Fleur. I guarantee it. He was wanting to activate this, negate Baron de Fleur, or force me to activate that Baron de Fleur negate so then that way he can evenly match me. His ass did not read. Or I mean, you should know what Sprite Elf does. If you've ever played against sprites, you should know what sprites do. Basically, I guarantee he was trying to go for Baron de Fleur, and he didn't read the Sprite Elf, and this completely fucked him over. Now, for those of y'all that don't know what Sprite Elf do, cannot be used as link material the turn that is link summon. Your opponent cannot target monsters this card points to with card effects, which means this card does target, and it can't target these two. It can only target the Sprite Elf. And judging by the amount of time it actually took for him to target something, I guarantee you he was wanting to target Baron de Fleur, and the only thing he could target was the Sprite Elf. So I go ahead and activate the Sprite Elf as a chain, so I still get its effect, summoning out the Merly, which is going to mill 3. The Scream is going to mill 3, and my opponent is Dunzo. GG's, my boy. He is out of there. So that's perfect example of your opponent just not reading. If he had read, still wouldn't have been able to beat me. Still would have lost. Guaranteed that Imperm was not going to be able to do anything. The best thing that he possibly could have done was normal summon something, crashed into my elf, and then impermed the Baron de Fleur, and then evenly matched. I mean, could he have even done that? No, because yeah, he couldn't even do that because if he crashed into my elf, well, the only way he could do that is if his monster has the exact same attack as elf, because then he wouldn't be able to imperm. So the best he could have done was honestly evenly match, ate up my Baron de Fleur negate with the evenly, possibly imperm the elf. I mean, he was donezo. It was nothing he could do. Like, he was donezo. This deck is just way too good for your typical deck to play through. Like, this is what he was playing. And yes, he did have 3 copies of evenly match. He had 3 copies of infinite impermanence. He has a lot of traps in this deck, and I mean, going after me, he would have had to play through my negates, not really having a way to special summon. And me, I'm a patient player. I will hold my negate till I need to negate something important. So yeah, pretty much just shut him off completely. He wasn't able to do anything. GG's, my boy.